I'm here in my...
Hello, everybody. Let us know where you're tuning in from tonight. Getting to the century mark. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Oh, where'd the sound go?
We're live.
Hey, we got Japan watching, Tim.
You could read that?
Well, I can't read it, but I know that is Japan. Oh, are we live right now, Connor, or what?
Yes.
What happened to the... Oh, my gosh. What in the world? That's my bad. Heads up.
Welcome to the Keeping It Real show.
I thought we had one more spot.
From Oak Point, Texas, the Tokyo Tex, the Kamikaze Cowboy, the Sukiyaki Jockey, the Man of Trail, Tim Kimura. From San Antonio, Texas, a professional Horseman, an AQHA and NSBA judge, frequently asked, how would Jewett do it? The man behind the wheel at Keeping It Real, Brad Jewett.
Let's do it. Tim, you brought your sign with you. I am impressed. You brought it to Oklahoma City. Good job,
I have no
man.
back.
Yeah, I know, because your background is very blasé. Mine's just got lights in the
I had to bring
windows
something.
and all that. But good job, man. Good job. So how many trail runs did we see today, Timmy?
I thought it was like 160. I had 88. My last class was senior, and it had 88 in it. And then we picked up poles and got ready for halter and showmanship for tomorrow. So it was 40, something. I don't know. I think it was 160. We did that 2 days in a row.
Enough.
I'm exhausted.
Enough. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah, I'm amping up again because I don't have to be up early tomorrow. That's all good.
Oh, nice. So what's today? Thursday. So if I remember that schedule right, you have Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we do the amateurs, it's like 9:30 our start. So it's like no more 5 o'clock in the morning. Me and Carson and I, having to do it. So
Right. Is it just Carson helping you?
That's all I need.
That's all you need.
That's all I need, right?
I'm sure Jackie's happy with that.
Yeah. No, I have this little girl Hannah that was helping me. She did a really good job. She was helping me with the bookwork
Nice.
and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, Carson, wait. Let me tell you one more. Carson.
Hold on. Charity just asked a question. What horse show is on right now? Tim is at the Prairie Classic in Oklahoma City. Just so you know. There you go.
Something happened to Carson when he was in Vegas because these last 2 days he was running to reset the pulse.
He brought his energy from Vegas to Oklahoma City.
It was so weird. After that night, we did that
There you go.
one class together.
Good job, Carson.
He's been running at the poles except for he fell asleep one time. And Holly said, hey, wait. Scared the heck out of him, right? He jumped up and he just started running he's like really not sure where to go. But he was getting out of his chair real fast.
You need to get some of
Carson's
those.
been doing great for the last
You
2
need to
days.
get some of those glasses with Carson that have the eyeballs that are open.
Yeah, I know. But he's been staying awake. It's tough.
Good job, Carson.
Like we went till 7 o'clock yesterday, which was because my course was a little long, and then we went to 5 o'clock today or something like that. So
not to drag this part out any longer, but now comes the hard part for Carson. He's kind of got 2 days off.
You're right. You think I'm not worried, right?
Don't wreck your truck, Carson. Stay focused. You're there to do a job. Here we go.
So let's do
it. All right. Hey, man, we got a huge show tonight. We have got a very special guest. I typed it up earlier. El Presidente of the Ohio Quarter Horse Association, Mr. Brent Maxwell, owner, trainer, Millmax Training Center, is going to join us tonight for a very special show. We've got a full page of notes here. So Tim, are you ready to rock and roll?
Let's bring him in, man.
Let's bring this dude in. Mr. Brent Maxwell coming in the house. Let's go.
Hey guys,
What's up, Brent?
good to see you. Looks like you guys been busy all day.
Well, yeah, I have. You can see my nice suntan. How's your suntan up there in Ohio?
It's called freezer burn.
Love it. Oh my gosh.
So what's the temperature?
Right now it's about 32 degrees, going down to 20 tonight, and that's the good day.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds kind of doable, actually.
Yeah, snow and freezing rain. Can't wait.
But 20 degrees, 20 degrees, it's better because what did you tell us? It's going to be like 12 or something?
That's supposed to be one of the highs next week. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
12 is a high.
Yeah.
12 was the high. 12 was the high. Not the low, the high.
California, I never heard like that. So, wow. Interesting. Okay.
Well, Brent, thanks for joining us on this Thursday night. I know you have been busy. You just got back from a ski trip, did you not?
I did. We went up to one of our clients' places in Michigan, the Gross-Nickel family, and went with some of my amateurs and my daughter and her boyfriend, and went skiing for a couple of days.
Oh, nice, man. You know, it is so awesome. You know, horse trainers, we love what we do, but we need breaks. And
yes,
so
we do.
when I texted you last week and you're like, I'm about to go on a ski trip, I'm like, man, I love to hear that. Brent Tincher, I don't know if I told you that or not. I like, hey, Brent, you know, we talked in Florida about coming on the show. He's like, I'm on vacation. I'm like, really? That's awesome. I love to hear these guys taking vacation. It's great.
You see, there's a trend when we're doing it.
Yeah, right. When it's 12 degrees for the high temperature.
Yes.
I got you. But why wouldn't you go to the beach? But no, I get it. No, because the beach really isn't that great this time of year either. So,
right.
So, did you judge Silver Dollar and then you go skiing?
I judged Silver Dollar. I came home from there. I flew into Columbus, did an Ohio Quarter Horse Association meeting from 3 o'clock till about 8:30 that night, and then left Thursday to go skiing.
Just another day. Just another day. You know, I don't want to jump because I don't want to jump ahead, Tim. But while we're talking about, he just talked about a meeting. I'm just thank you for one. That's how I want to start this little conversation. Thank you, because you guys in Ohio do such an amazing job, and we wonder, you know, when we all get to the Quarter Horse Congress, we wonder why it's such an amazing show. But he just mentioned part of the reason. These guys are 100% dedicated. It is like a job for them, and I'm pretty sure you don't get paid for it. But no. it is such a passion, and I mean, it shows in the production of the Quarter Horse Congress. But thank you so much for doing that. How often do you have Ohio Quarter Horse meetings?
We have monthly board meetings. And then there could be other meetings for the tri-chairman besides that. So, but we do have one monthly meeting for the board.
And that's Ohio Quarter Horse, or does that always involve the Congress as well, or is that all? Is the tri-chairman part of the time?
Yeah, all the meetings are generally that day. Usually starts with a tri-chairman meeting, followed by an executive committee meeting, and then all of our committee meetings are set times to have meetings as well. And then we have our regular meeting, usually at 7 o'clock.
Awesome. Awesome. Tim, is there anything? Go ahead.
Is it currently you're the president? And then
I am. This is till Saturday.
Yeah.
Then I have to hand off the torch to Greg Tordoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're allowed 2 years term here, and I ran a couple years ago. Was able to get 1 year into the Congress, and then of course last year with everything that's going on, kind of had to sit on the sidelines and kind of watch that go by. But we're ready for this year. We're ready to go.
How tough was that decision?
You know, it was very hard. You know, when COVID hit in late February, early March, you know, Dr. Myers is very smart about those things and staying ahead of the game. So, you know, we started with a plan as far as, you know, to see how long it was going to take before these changes were invoked, and, you know, everything that occurred, but everything happened so rapidly.
Right.
Just as we get a plan in place, then the environment would change. So we had to change our plan again. You know, so we set a deadline to go ahead and make a decision which was August 1st. And we went ahead and printed up the programs. We had all the jackets ordered, the trophies ordered. I mean, we were moving ahead with the intention of having the horse show.
Well, you know what? That's encouraging right there, just to hear that about the trophies, about the jackets and all that. Because that was actually a question I'd thought about, I think, when I was riding a horse or something like that. I'm like, I wonder if they had all those. What are they doing with all those jackets? And I guess, did they print the year on them already? You know, all those things, all those thoughts kind of went through my mind. Like, I wonder. It's just how my brain works. But
yeah,
Tim, if you have any more questions about Congress and Ohio Quarter Horse, no, because you've got an amazing outline here for us, and I want to get into Brent's backstory, and so take over.
Let's dive in. So let's just talk about where you're born at for sure, and then the roots of how you learned to ride and stuff.
Okay. Well, I was born in Zanesville, Ohio, which is also where Randy Wilson is from as well. So we got to show a little bit together as kids. I did not work with any horse trainers or in my process of getting to where I am now. I started through the 4-H program in Muskingum County, and I'd always wanted horses. My family doesn't have horses and really isn't interested in horses, but I convinced my brother to go in with me and buy a couple. So we bought these two red dun. They were half Appaloosa, half quarter horses, and we bought them right before the blizzard of 78. So we had to wait for the snowstorm to go through. We literally came to this place to get these horses. They never.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's how you keep track of things up in Ohio. The blizzard of 70. Sorry. That's all. I'm sorry. Keep going, Brent. That just cracked me up for a second.
You're good. It's not like the drought in Texas or
right. Exactly.
But we bought these two horses, and once there was a path, basically walls 10 foot high of snow on both sides of us. We borrowed a 2-horse trailer. My brother and I went, and the guy had got these two horses, ran them down the road between the snowbanks into this barn. They had not had halters on. They were both 2 years old. Yeah, it's pretty Western. So I think because we'd had snow for a few days. I mean, they were fat and hairy, but I don't think they've been fed for a few days because they went in the trailer pretty willingly. Yeah. And
please
put halters on them in there because we couldn't get them on out otherwise. So we kept hay in front of them, get them to where we're going. And of course, we didn't have any stalls. We just had an old barn where we had these horses. So we get backed up to the gate. Fortunately, we did that because the horses shot out of the trailer. We were like lawn darts being drug all over the place at the end of these ropes till we get to a tree to wrap around and get them tied off. So that was my humble beginnings. And then, just broke those, sold them, and just kind of moved forward through some different programs.
Wow. So, I love those kind of stories. I mean, we talk about this almost every night that we have a horse trainer or horseman on. And, you didn't seek a horse trainer through this. Like, you learned hands-on how to become a horseman. Yes, you're being drug around. You're putting you're channeling these things into a trainer with into a trailer with snowbanks, and then you're unloading them into a barn, getting drug around. But I mean, it's just like you learn through hands-on training, and that's how you become that horseman that we're going to dig into tonight.
Yeah, I wish my roping skills had been a little better when I purchased those two horses because I wasn't real handy with one, to be quite honest with you, and still not. But, I would put a feeder on the ground and we'd feed them. I'd have the lariat around there when they stuck their head in. I'd, catch them, snag them up to the tree and go through that whole process.
I like it.
Thank goodness for Horse and Rider back then because, I couldn't Google a friend or call a friend and use my iPhone and say, hey, I need help here. So
right.
So is there
not the first time that's been mentioned either, right, Tim?
Yeah, for sure.
How many people have talked about? Oh, I've read Doug Carpenter's article in the Horse and Rider and
Horseman.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that
Horseman back in the day, right?
I love that you just mentioned that.
How about the question I had? I lost it for a second. Oh, was there any time like in your early years that you thought about being anything but a horse trainer?
My father had a stroke, and my two brothers were in college. One was at West Point, and the other one was at Muskingum College. And I was enrolled to pre-veterinary medicine at Ohio State. And of no fault of my own, I could have went on and done that afterwards. But my father required a lot of in-home care with my mother and some home therapy. So I opted out of school and got her through that. And then, I've always loved horses, always had a passion for them. I mean, I was the kid when we went to the county fair, was always on the pony ride. My mom said that when I was little, I even had a little horse toilet seat. So I think it was bound to happen.
Right.
Sure.
So let's go into like high school, early college. Like, tell me like the people you work for and how it evolves from here.
Okay. So I went through high school. I did not go to college. I did go to Oklahoma horseshoeing school, so I am a farrier as well. I just do the necessary work now. I hire somebody else to do that. But I went to work for a gentleman by the name of Ted Fletcher, who was involved with a little bit with the Ohio Quarter Association and mostly with the Eastern Ohio Quarter Association, an older gentleman that bred and raised his own horses, had some mares and stuff, and he was just to the point he couldn't handle them anymore. So we broke those, showed the halter futurities, had my first halter futurity win in Ohio with him, which back then there was 50, 60 head in the Coliseum of babies. They had chairs you'd take breaks to sit down in between judges because it was a different process then. But he also kept summons too. So we started and broke them. Showed mostly open shows. At that time, I was just getting into an entry level as far as the quarter horse program goes. My wife had shown a little bit, but we were by no means hauling up and down the road to the AQHA shows at that point.
So is at this point too, I think.
Hold on. Can I ask a question about the Oklahoma Farrier School? Because I went there and toured it, and I almost went there.
One there.
Oh, yeah?
What year did you, what years were you there?
That probably, I'm horrible with dates, but I'm going to guess it's probably right after my senior year. So probably like 1983. Okay.
So that was a little before me, but I went and toured it. I almost did it. I wish I would have now just to be able to tack shoes on and stuff like that.
What point of the career were you like riding and shoeing horses?
Well, I went to work. Ted passed away, and we sold all the horses and stuff there. So during that time, I'd also been giving lessons to 4-H kids and open show kids. I'd traveled around to different barns, boarding barns that had a handful or 10 kids there. Would do that, and then once I got certified to shoe, then I was shoeing those same horses as well. And actually, our farrier was getting older, and he turned his whole book over to me. So before that, I went to work for Ron Vaness up in Gallion, Ohio, that had several studs. Mr. Poco Music was one of the more famous ones at the time. So I went up there and spent almost a year there, I think, before I decided to come back home and get started with training on my own and doing that type of program. And I started with right back into where I was with 4-H kids and open show horses. And we traveled every weekend. We went to a horse show, 2 or 3 a month during the summer, of course, because there weren't a lot of indoor facilities then. But it was nothing to take 10 or 12, 15 head of horses to that open show.
Wow.
Did you guys hear the static?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Brett's headphones or Brent.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's getting better.
There you twist it on the computer.
There you go. Yeah, it's just
good?
Hit and miss there. There you go. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, I don't think we've talked about trainers that do the horseshoeing part except for Andre, right? Because Andre is the one that said all his guys had to know how to tack shoes on. So if you lose a shoe in the middle of the night, you can go back to the barn and re-tack it back on, right?
That's right. That's right.
So it's good and bad, right? I mean, it's good that in case you get in trouble, you can fix it probably, but then you might have to help your other friends out too because you can do it.
It is good, and I shouldn't say this because, and I don't do it now, but there's times, taking a lot of horses to the horse show, if you lost one of yours and you get out the anvil and you beat on a shoe, it's like a dinner bell. Everybody comes running. Oh, I've lost a shoe.
That is no lie. That is no lie.
And you don't want to charge your friends, so it's really not lucrative.
Right.
Well, and now that I know this, Brent, I lost a shoe. Can you tack this thing back on?
And poor Dale Hamilton, I know, I probably shouldn't tell everybody this, but I know he's always got his, so I borrowed his to put some of my own shoes back on. So,
oh, Dale's a farrier too?
I don't know that he would call himself a farrier, but he's able to put a shoe back on. He might have a different opinion of that, but I think he's probably going to agree.
I'm making a list.
Isn't it funny? I know we're advertising tonight.
These are all my neighbors at the Congress, so this is great to know.
They're going to hate me.
Yeah. We just put a big mark on them tonight. I love that. Okay, so let's go on. I mean, so is Melissa coming in here yet, or?
Yeah, well, in the process of when I was working for Ted, I had already met Melissa. I met her at our county fair also. Actually, I was breaking up with an old girlfriend, and she was in her cab over motorhome right beside us watching the whole thing. So,
Kona, go ahead and drop that picture down of Melissa. Go ahead, Brent. You can keep talking.
So after that, like we left the county fair. I didn't get her phone number. We went out a few times at the fair. And then after that, I tried to track her back down, and I knew her dad's name, and his name is Paul, and her maiden name is Miller. There was like 400 Paul Millers in the phone book. So I finally tracked her down again, and the rest is history after that. And we've been married 30 years as of last September. So.
Now I'm seeing the Milmax part, because I was going to ask you that, but I get it now.
Yeah, that's the Milmax.
Got it. So tell us about that picture that we just popped up. What's the horse? And I don't know Melissa very well at all. And that's on me. But obviously I'm around her a lot at the horse shows. But I mean, to me, I love the 80s hair, because my wife and I, we dated in the 80s as well, and she had great 80s hair. So I'm loving the hair, Melissa, just saying. But tell us about the horse. And was this an ad or something that was?
Yes, this was an ad. I think she kind of looks like Sheena Easton there, by the way.
Yes.
But the horse's name is Prince of Silence, and he was driven, I think, by Sarah Bradley at some point. He kind of had been roped off of, did the Western Pleasure with Pipers, and we purchased him, and she did the showmanship with him and the horsemanship and the equitation, and she went on to win the Congress with him in '93, and then won a High Point title in the showmanship with him. So it's obviously where Alexa gets her showmanship gene from.
Well,
it's not me.
I mean, that's what I was going to say is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
Did she ever do any of the Queen contest stuff?
No, she didn't do any of that.
Really? She seemed like
she did like our county fair. That was probably another attraction. She was the county fair queen, not the port queen, but she was the county fair queen.
So I'm just gonna stick here for a second. Like, when you first get married and stuff like that, do you guys go into business right away together? And can you talk about how I'm curious, when people get married, they have, I see this, okay, young couples out there, they get married, they go business together, you have a training thing, you work with them all day. Tell me how the dynamics in the early years, I mean, you've done it for so long, but can you tell me how the beginning was?
Well, I had met her in '82, which was my senior year of high school. I'm telling my age now. But I had met her then. And then she, when she got out of youth, and she's 4 years younger than me, when she got out of youth, then she went into the amateur and had her amateur career. And she rode with Junior Sheltman for a year or so. We had that working relationship was a little strained with me trying to help her all the time. So it was a little easier to get somebody else to step in and do that. And part of that growing. But she showed amateur from 1985 to 1996 before giving up her amateur card and then helping with the business. And then she had a really bad issue with fibromyalgia, to where she couldn't walk very well and had a lot of issues and side effects with that. So that happened in 2012. And then just 2 years ago in 2019, she just got to where they got a handle on it and was able to get her back in the saddle again.
Awesome. I did not know that. That. So, oh, wow. What a fighter, huh?
Yeah. So she was on the ground a lot. She gave a lot of lessons, and she's the bookie.
So can we just talk, I mean, let's go back a little bit again. Like when you not first start training, but when you're training and you've had several groups of kids and amateurs that have been very successful in different spots of your business career. Can you talk about one of the eras maybe like that? Some of your kids or amateurs that you helped at a certain moment of time?
Yeah, we're young and we're getting started in our business. We take about anything and everything that's not literally going to kill us to try to keep money in our mouth and food in our mouth and money in the bank. But I was fortunate enough, even with the 4-H and open show horses I had, to have a really good show string. And probably the breaking point for me and some most memorable ones, the Powell family, Diana Powell and her father Tom came down and bought a horse from us, and then ended up hauling up with us for several years. And that's where Crystal Clear had come into play.
I remember that horse.
One of my all-time favorite horses. Yes. Could show in the performance halter and do the 100 saddle and the pleasure and the Western ride and trail, and was quirky, but he won a lot for us. So that horse was then sold to Matt Hickman, who he was talking about people that might come back and later in time. And after we had sold that horse after Matt's career, and he was very successful with him as well, Matt came back just a few years ago with another horse that he showed for a couple years, went to the World Show, and then we just sold it recently and got rid of it. So, those people come back around, so it's nice to have that. But that time, I was hauling several kids. I had Reed Graham from Zanesville that had a nice horse we'd purchased from Dan Trine that was hauling for the rookie title. Matt and Diana at that time were hauling for all-around titles. And then later, Big Bebop and Bob came along with Catherine Gorsuch that we got off of Chad Piper. And he actually went from Catherine. He won the World Show for us as well in the youth and the Congress, and went on to the Powell family for their youngest as a walk trot horse for a couple years.
Tim knows Big Bebop and Bob very well.
Yeah, so he kicked my ass one year, but that's a year. Okay.
Do tell.
He beat Tim at the World Show.
He was a nice horse. He was a trooper. So it's fine. As long as I don't get beat every
Somehow
year.
we don't believe that Tim's really accepted that yet.
No, I still sense something.
Animosity.
Pattern, yeah.
You know what, Tim? He's still alive. I just saw him. He's in Unadilla, Georgia, at a farm that they own down Southeast Arena. He's turned out down there. I just stopped and got my picture with him in the field. Still as ornery and cantankerous as ever.
Nice.
So I think here, I'm going to go one more topic, and then we might take a break for a sec. During your earlier careers of training and if it's 4-H, if it's open horse shows, quarter horse shows, tell me again how you learn your toolbox of learning so many events, because you're very good in a lot of events. And as an all-around person, what did you see? What did you hear? How did you get the information?
Well, in the beginning and all through a lot of the process, it was trial and error. And then once I started in the AQHA shows and showing, in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, we're surrounded by such an amazing group of talented people, young and old, that, I was able to observe and watch. And fortunately, I think one of the Ohio trainers are the best in the world as far as if you need help or you're riding a horse and you have a problem, or you want to see how your lead change looks or get some suggestions. It was free education for me, just by being observant, paying attention, taking some things home, trying them, going back and just developing and making them part of your program and developing and making it part of your own. But I can't say enough about the environment that I'm in. I think you're only as strong as your competition, and right. I'm right in the middle of it.
Right. Absolutely.
Bradford, we're kind of talking about there's so many good riders and horses that come out of Ohio, just the state, the area and stuff like that. But as I'm listening to him talk, I'm thinking almost like a home field advantage a little bit here, because they're showing against each other high level all year long. Okay. Yeah. Then the mystique of going to the Congress, they're already comfortable being in their state, where we're all coming in from outside in. So we got some distraction just coming to Ohio, and we're coming into their lair, okay? And so they're all relaxed, and this is just a normal thing for them. And it reminds me of the Celtics again. Okay, going into the Boston Garden, there's a little mystique about your area, the Congress, that's your area, right? Your whole state, showing against you guys in your state.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, we were talking pre-show with Brent about it, and it's amazing. As a judge, I've gone up there and judged. I've judged the Congress. I've judged the Madness. I've judged the biggest shows that they have up there. But then I've also judged quote unquote weekend shows, which here in Texas are like the Congress. I mean, it is not unusual for them to have 50 plus in the novice youth showmanship on a weekend horse show. And, and Brent kind of touched on it, and I want you to kind of go back and elaborate on what we're talking about right now for sure. But we talked about it with Dan and Darlene when they were on, is that their Ohio quarter horse show people, it's a factory. It is something when those kids are young, and we're going to talk about Alexa here in a little bit, and you'll see her cute little picture that we've got for you. But you can see it in her eyes when she's that young, that this is something that she just is all about. And I see that with 50 showmanship kids in there at a weekend horse show, I can count on one hand, easy, maybe not even take the full hand of those kids that are really good. Right. They're not just going in there and, oh, it's a horse show. No, they want to be really good at everything that they do, whether it's showmanship, horsemanship, ranch riding, it doesn't matter. Ohio has a propensity to create that desire. And I want to know, I don't know who started that. I don't know how it got to that point. Maybe Congress has a little bit to do with it, but you guys just have an innate sense about you to that you guys really enjoy, and what you do at the horse shows creates that desire to want to keep coming back, wanting to keep getting better. So just kind of elaborate where you can there, Brent. I know I kind of took a few subjects there, but elaborate how do you in Ohio create that desire to want to keep showing?
I don't know where it stems from. I do know that the open show program throughout the state is really, really strong. And they'll have 30, 40 entries in them on the weekend horse shows. And they have winter horse shows too, like in January and February. Wow. And they'll be sold out, 200-300 stalls at some of these facilities. So, it's always been there. And, I do think the Congress is a part of it. It's a goal. We have people that don't show necessarily a lot of AQHA shows here in Ohio that come to the Congress and are competitive and, win prizes there that show very little AQHA shows, but the programs, on both sides of it are so strong. But I think that, stems from the leadership and the amount of really good horse trainers within a relatively small space within our state, that helps that. I mean, there's a lot of us that make a living here, and a lot of horses that go to the horse show. Yeah. So it just feeds itself. And, you always kind of wait for that downward trend. Last year, especially with COVID, you would have thought it would have stopped, but it made it worse. When the doors open, there was a horse show. and now, I mean, we just made all of our stall reservations, the madness. I talked to Judd, and, he said in 18 minutes, 1,200 stalls were gone. So, that and our weekend horse shows, it's incredible. It's amazing.
Well, that's something that we also talked about before. You said that you're booked all the way through July. Like, you have to get your stalls paid for, not just saying, hey, I'm bringing, 15 head. Like, you have booked that far in advance because the stalls are in such demand at those horses up there.
It is. And, it makes it hard for a horse trainer because as the tide change, you may get new horses or lose a customer or whatnot. So there is some flexibility. Like most of them have a deadline date, which is 2 to 3 weeks out, that your check is not cashed for a number of stalls, but you can call and say, I had 25 ordered, I only need 20. And there's a waiting list, so it's not hard to get rid of those stalls.
Right.
So there's a process once you get used to it. But when they give those deadlines as to when you can get stalls, you sit right there waiting to get them now.
Awesome.
So one more, Bradford, for me is one, I see people like Brent and all the guys that work for the Congress or your committees and stuff, they believe in the industry, okay? They go out of their way to help Congress, help the other shows. They do more than their share, okay? And then at the same time, these guys have been there for a long period of time about putting your roots in the ground and building a strong foundation. I mean, I see, Jonathan could laugh, and Connecticut's that way, Texas is that way, Ohio's that way, Arizona's that way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, a strong base, if you want to say Sun Circuit, Congress, Texas, Oklahoma, Connecticut, okay, those guys over there. I mean, there's a group of people, a lot of good information, a lot of great trainers in their area, great students that compete against each other, but they care for the big ones and the small people. They want horse shows to live on. That's why the Novice Championship over there in Ohio is so big, because you guys have product and you nurse it. You help those guys get better. So I'm just saying, it's just not the mystique of Ohio, but I'm saying there's things that go in that these guys are doing besides just because it's Ohio, it's big. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the industry. They still have that yearning to
help it.
Wherever the need is, whether it's novice am, novice youth, walk trot, it doesn't matter. They just have an ability. And again, we're not going to go back into the Congress and all that, but some of the things that we were talking about prior to the show, the level of detail that you all put into research to find out who's showing from where and coming from where and all this kind of that is a big part of it. You treat it like it's an important piece of our industry, and it is obviously a huge portion of our industry, being the Quarter Horse Congress. And so I would say that it doesn't matter whether it's a weekend show or whatever, everybody is benefiting from that.
Yeah, and it reaches beyond the Congress too. Talking about our weekend horse shows, we have several affiliates in Ohio. And a lot of times you hear like there's separate entities within a state, and they're all kind of vying for dates and whatnot. I have to kudos to our affiliates for working together. I mean, if there's something needs to be adjusted or dates need to be pushed around, helping with facilities, this past year, there's so much outreach and communication between the different affiliates that it makes it work for everybody. Everybody wants to have a good horse show. We all support each other's. Our points carry, like some of them are approved for each other's association. So it's not all these entities working individually. There's a big collection of entities working for a goal. And I think that's why our shows are so big.
For sure. Well, just what you just mentioned, it makes 100% sense. That's great. That's exactly what you got to have to be successful.
And you guys have any music?
Oh, yes, I do. Are we ready to rock and roll with that rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do so. I didn't tell you about this, but I'm sure you probably know that, we have these mystery questions we like to ask, right?
Oh, no.
Sure.
It's called rapid fire. So the question comes and whatever pops into your head, Brent, short answer is good.
Yeah.
Okay. These aren't my notes.
These aren't,
no, they're not your notes.
These aren't the notes. But, sometimes we like to think on our feet and be surprised a little bit. I like to do that. Okay, question number one. What's your favorite thing you like to eat for breakfast?
Oreos.
What?
Yes,
Oreos.
I'm like an
Wow.
Oreo junkie. Like I've lost 20 pounds, so I've gotten away from it, but the
Yeah.
yearning is still
That's
there.
what
Like I had a
gonna
line
ask
of
you.
Oreos every
Great.
morning
I was
with
gonna
a
say,
glass of
wait,
milk.
how do you eat Oreos and look that good? That's awesome.
I don't eat them anymore.
What is your favorite professional sports team?
Steelers.
Pittsburgh, man.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
Steelers.
I'm an oldie. I'm an oldie.
Love that one. Okay, what's your favorite class to judge?
Well, I'm gonna have to say the trail.
Oh, winner!
Now, Jonathan Mueller, there you go. Now Brent's kissing Tim's butt.
Yeah. Name one of your favorite Western heroes or icons.
Oh, you're trying to get me in trouble here, aren't you? He's young, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for Aaron Moses.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, I love that. That's a good one. Okay, we'll go there. Name your favorite app you like to use.
My favorite app?
Yeah.
Probably Facebook.
Okay, very good. Where's the furthest horse show you had to go to from there?
As far as showing?
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be the Sun Circuit.
Okay, very good. What do you like to do if no one would bother you?
Enjoy the peace and quiet.
Yeah, that's the right answer. Okay, what's your favorite cocktail beverage?
Crown Apple and 7 with a lime.
Oh, that's a Becky George kind of thing. Okay, name the type of sauce you would use on Hooter wings.
Mild.
Wow. Okay. Name your favorite breed of dog.
Australian Shepherd.
Okay. Final question. Name your favorite picture in your house.
It's probably my daughter winning the Congress when she was 6, when she won 2 classes there. It's a collage.
Good job.
When she was 6.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
She won the walk trot horsemanship and the novice. It was 18 and under showmanship at the time.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh,
That was your last question, Tim?
That was my last one.
Good job, Brent. Brent didn't even know it was coming on.
Yeah.
He didn't know what was going on.
He didn't even sweat any.
Tim
Okay.
didn't even- like boom, 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 boom. All right, we got some good topics still coming up. We've got he'll have a taco we're going to talk about here in a little bit, which I know a lot of you current horse trainers have been showing against that, trying to beat that horse. But we want Brent to talk about him because we know he was a very special horse and did not live near long enough to be able to for all of us to be able to enjoy him. But Tim, go ahead. I don't want to jump ahead, but I think that may be where we're going next.
Here's one I'm just going to kind of roll with a little bit. Throughout your career, you've had, like I said, there's a 2002 kids that we're talking about. But even to this day, you have great students because I know some of them, and I've watched them show in my events for sure, and I back gate for the other ones. And how do you maintain that level of consistency of your kids and amateurs throughout these years? Even like from that, go ahead.
Again, Tim, I have to relate that to the environment that we show in. A horse trainer came over to Indiana, which is about 3 hours from us, to Cloverdale, Indiana, and a lot of the Ohio trainers go there and show. And he brought some trail horses over, and we sat down after the first round, and he says, "You know what? I don't know how you guys do it every weekend." He said, "You guys are like ready to show the Congress or the World Show here." He said, "I'm not nearly ready enough." So, and the amateurs are that way too. I mean, Judd and Jennifer Paul, and there's a lot of others, have a lot of great amateur clients that can show and have great horses. So, if you're going to be competitive, you have to do your homework and be prepared.
And then using that, going from there, how do you manage, like, what horse shows you're going to go to during the year, or what you're going to judge, or when you're going to go have a weekend to go skiing? How do you do that, like for 2021 or 22?
Well, we always put a schedule together, and we ship it out or email it out to all the clients. And then the contracts I have for judging, then, I have to look at what horse shows we have. and I have to kind of evaluate the numbers that we'll be going. Because basically, it's like we have a show string that goes to the larger shows only, and then we have some that are I call weekend warriors that go every weekend to the Ohio shows. We have such a great awards program in Ohio, and they haul for Phil Harris saddles at the end of the year. So that might be another one of your incentives, Brad. But
Yeah, sure.
having that competition around us really encourages those people to go, and I have to kind of plan where my horses are at. I don't want to take a client and kind of overwhelm them at a horse show. So, I want to try to take them to an event that I think they're going to be successful at. We sit down and have goals that they want to meet for their horse or for themselves. So you want to try to make those goals obtainable. So that's kind of how I decide what horses are going where outside of what the clients are telling me they want to do.
And then, go ahead. You have anything, Brad?
No.
How do you, as a trainer, how do you adjust yourself, your demeanor when you're coaching, I'll say lower level clientele versus higher level clientele?
Can you ask that again, Tim? I was reading Jonathan's comment. Love you, Jonathan.
How's it? I wonder how you guys do this sometimes. I mean, I know how I do it, but you guys surely have like lower level, like novice amateurs or walk trotters or anything, a lower level student that's just learning versus world champions, amateurs and youth riders. How do you balance yourself to coach each style? Like it's not always a high level, not always a low level, and throughout your month, how do you balance that out?
Well, I guess once you recognize, and pick a program for the horse and understand what its capabilities are, especially for like your beginners coming in, they're going to make mistakes. So they're doing the novice events and things like that. But I've been really blessed with good clients that are very helpful and encouraging to the younger people or the novice exhibitors, mentors, if you will, encouraging and supporting, watching them show and that kind of thing. But I try to, when we go out to work on the trail or work on the horsemanship, we do group practices, but I try to keep those individuals mixed in. So they, a lot of times the patterns are similar except for a few elements. So, have that novice rider that's going to not go quite as hard. And then you have that tough youth or amateur rider that's, knocking it out as best that they can during the practice. So they kind of get to see what it's supposed to look like. So it's kind of like you're leading by example. So it also makes them feel like part of the group too. And it gives them something to work towards.
Is there any adjustments you have to make all your clientele compatible?
Sometimes you have to fire some.
Right? Absolutely, you do.
Or they fire me. I mean, it's happened both ways. And, they're just part of the business, and you got to learn not to take it personally. But, I've been really blessed with good clients.
Right. And I mean, I just want to frame that in the right way because it's, it's a service business, and some people like it, some want it differently, some are needy, some are less needy, and it's complicated for you guys,
It is. I think you'd find that probably in any type of sport event that you're in as a coach, which I like to call us, or a trainer.
Absolutely.
But when you have people competing against each other, there's always going to be that person that doesn't respect the performance, if you will, of somebody who's beating them. They'd rather to blame it on the judge, blame it on the horse trainer. And I'm not going to say that maybe when I was starting, I wasn't guilty of the same. I'll definitely say that, when I was young and stupid, did the same thing. So it's all part of the learning process. Right. But, always try to set them down, and explain to them that you got to accept responsibility for yourself. I'll be the first one to say, your horse was not being very good today. It's not anything that you did, but let's work on this, and we need to recognize these problems so we don't allow this to happen in the future, both you as a rider and me as your trainer. So, you just have to keep your eyes open, be aware, listen to what they're telling you. I mean, if they're struggling and you pay attention, they may not just jump right up in your face and say, this is not working right. But, if you see that there's a persistent problem, you should be able to pick up on that.
Okay.
So Tim, can I segue here into Alexa?
Yeah, for sure.
Because it brings up a question. When you have clients of your own and you have your daughter, talk a little bit about how that works, because I mean, I don't have any children, but I can imagine, especially with the success of what Alexa has shown, I'm sure it's helped in a lot of ways. But I would think, I mean, I see Alexa riding her own stock and kind of doing a lot of her own work, but at some point she had to learn that. So how did you juggle? And then we'll segue into Alexa and what she's been able to do and who she is. But how did you juggle clients and your daughter?
Well, fortunately, as she's gotten older, and even when she was like 13 or so, she was always very helpful and instrumental, and always was able to see things because she had shown so much and had developed her own talent. Right. As far as her getting her own horses ready, I mean, I hate to say this, but she never got the time from me that probably she should have as a coach.
Right.
Compared to the other ones. Obviously, I mean, it didn't hurt her any, but it did cause some family stress, and she felt like, dad didn't care a lot of times.
Sure.
With that. So, we went through, there's some rough times, a lot of tears and, things that, I just, you're getting paid to do a service and you get caught up in that. So that, these guys coming up with young kids and stuff, you just got to try to find a balance for your kids, especially if they're showing, and your clients as well, to try to manage both of those. But I've been very fortunate, and she was able to do a lot of things herself, but she'll still wave the white flag for dad to help her now and then.
Great advice, though, like you said, for all, because there's a lot of trainers out there that have young kids growing up in the industry, and that has got to be super tough, especially when you have a daughter that's talented and that has the desire to do it, and then you're working with a client. Possibly, I'm not pecking any of yours out, and maybe none of them fit this description. But when you're working with a client that's like, yeah, and your daughter's over there like, I want it, right? And so that's got to be a tricky situation, when you're over there with somebody that's kind of barely doing it. But I think it kind of brings us back to our earlier conversation about Ohio. Alexa grew up in that. And you know what, Kona, go ahead and put that picture up of Alexa, those couple pictures up of Alexa, and then we'll let Brent talk about the second picture there, or we can let him talk about both pictures. But bringing the Ohio into it, Alexa obviously grew up in that and just developed her desire to do it. But talk a little bit about that, and then talk about these pictures as well.
Well, the first picture is her, obviously, when she was doing lead line. Just a little bit of a man. I think she may have been 2.5 years old, barely could sit up in the saddle, cuter than a button. And I remember the first time her mom always let her, because I let her a few times and I would get in trouble because of some of the comments she would make to judges. And to give you an example of that, when I was hauling the group with Crystal Clear and Big Bebop and Bob, of course, these are all teenage kids, and I hope I can say this, but they're always telling her to go kick ass. Here she is, this little tiny tot. Yep. So I get sent to the arena with her. I'm not sure what her mother was doing or where she was at that weekend, but I go in and the judges are like, "Do you like showing?" And she's like, "I like to kick ass." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So fortunately, it was Rick Chris. He knows the family, and he's like, "That's all right. We know that was her mother coming out in her." So my lead line privileges got revoked with that. But we did everything wrong as far as buying our daughter. As a horse trainer, you're not going to go out and buy your 6-year-old kid a 4-year-old horse that's not been shown. But fortunately, Ann Myers, when we got the cookie baker, was, very honest about his attitude and stuff. And I think it was another one of these cold days that we went up and rode him in Carhartts and stuff. And actually, it was better for her than he was for me. So, the rest was history there and what he did for her. And then moving on to the second picture there, the one with the roses, we kind of come into the Zips Bossy Chip horse, which anybody that's close to me knows she was never my favorite horse and still is not, other than all that she's won for my daughter. But we did not get along at all. Alexa did a lot of the work with her. We got her, Becky Schooler had bought her from Findlay College through their 2-year-old sale. And she needed a rider to show her, because she wasn't a real big mare, show her in the hunter under saddle. So Alexa could show on a novice permit. So she showed her in the intensive, Becky getting her sold for somebody else. And I went off to judge after that day, flew out, and they get a phone call that they had purchased her. So at the time, I wasn't very happy about it, but it all turned out and worked out really well for us. And she's had a lot of success. And I'm usually not one to brag a lot on her publicly, but she's just had a lot of success and broke some world records, and I'm really, really proud of her.
Heck yeah, that's what this format's for. Is we don't like to brag a whole lot on you, but we'll brag on your daughter.
It was funny because the picture with the roses, we retired the mare after the World Show this year, and a lady sitting in the stands next to me, and I was a little teary-eyed, and she says, "Are those tears of joy?" And I said, "Those are tears of happiness. I don't have to take that mare down the road anymore." But they were a special team, and they had a lot of success, and there'll never be another one like her.
Right. Well, so tell us about the world records that she broke real quick, and then Tim, continue on.
She broke a 30-year record, I believe, of the all-time leading point earner in the youth. She broke that record first. And we were really unaware of being the all-time leading point earner behind Harley D. Zip. And it was kind of brought to our attention that we were close. And we really didn't haul for it. I mean, like I say, with the horse shows in Ohio were big enough, and we were fortunate enough to be able to accumulate those points, and it just kind of happened. And it was a good moment. And when she was little, with the Breyer horses that she still has, Harley was always one of her favorites, and he was always the winner in the classes that she was having. So I don't know if that was a sign early on or what it was, but it was a special moment for us when it happened. She worked really, really hard to achieve that. And like I said, she did a lot of the work herself. There was one year that I couldn't tolerate her or her mother, so Becky Schooler took her and coached her for a year, and then I took Ty and helped her and coached her as well. So we kind of did a little kid swap.
Nice, very good.
So my one little story is, I can't remember. I know she was a walk trotter. I got to help her a couple times way back when she was not very big at all, and she was so. I had the tiger way intense for me, and as a little child here, and I'm kind of I was a little intimidated at first, and then I gave it that just don't get wrapped up in her energy, don't fall into that, I'm trying to be real numb to myself, just stay calm and say it again, and just say it calm, and don't get her amped up. But she was such a perfectionist as a small child. It was freaking me out. And
how'd that go for you, Tim?
It was all right. We her horse liked to lope all the time, and I said, just trot, just stay there, stay in the moment, and then she was just she was frisky, and I liked it because for such a young child and has that hunger and that drive, I'm I want to mold some of this. This is fun stuff, right? Got to channel it. That's all.
Yeah.
I remember her showing the cookie baker or maker, whichever it was, when she was. How old was she when she first showed at the Youth World?
I want to say 8. I could be wrong. I don't think she was 9.
She was young, and you just saw it. You're if you had a kid that was that age, you're okay, we got to compete against that every year now, right? Because she was spot on. She
go for
did
it.
not look like an 8 or 9 year old or however old she was. She did not look like at her age. She was very technical.
I got one more Alexa favorite question, okay?
Uh-huh.
What's her name mean?
Well, it's an Irish name, and her mother came up with this, of course, and it means leader of men.
Leader of men.
So, yeah.
I still get
And you bought her a mare.
Yeah.
I still get that.
She has geldings now, so. But you know, Brad, you said to Tim, how did that work out for you? That's one of my favorite phrases because of that little attitude. Like she would do those, just push the envelope a lot. And before she was loping, we had a horse called Chocolate Poker Chip, which she had borrowed for the walk trot stuff, and she rode Rommel, and she wasn't supposed to be loping, and she's always trying to lope. And one day I hear him cracking with the end of the Rommel, and he crow hops and her boots come off, and she comes off between the horse and the wall, and she gets up. Of course, she's furious. No boots on her feet. Goes over and kicks him in the leg. Now she's hopping up and down because her foot hurts. And I'm like, so how did that work out for you? So, there's been several instances like that.
That's awesome. I love it. So now she's dabbling, I think, in the hunters as well, right?
She started just a few years ago in the hunter stuff, and she's actually actively looking for one right now. We'd bought one that had quite a show record, and we got through a re-ride program, and we were fortunate enough to get a year out of him. We didn't realize until we did an MRI that there was some underlying issues. But she had some success with him in Florida, got him qualified for the World Show, and then we unfortunately had to put him down. But she got the fever for it, for sure. So she's been through a couple horses just trying to find the right one that fits her and, where she's at in the program as far as the learning curve. So she likes that. She likes the ranch riding as well. She's got a young horse that she just started showing here a couple weeks ago.
Awesome. Well, I've judged her multiple times, and no doubt she puts the time in, and she cares. She's not just going through the motion. She cares about it. And that means a lot to me as whether you, however you look when you're judging, when you're looking for that one to pop out at you. Excuse me, I think it's Alexa, not Alexa. She always pops out at you. It's just you can tell that she truly cares. And so, I think that's an attribute to you and Melissa. And then just her desire to say, I'm going to figure this out. If she's had to do a lot on her own, which I'm sure, like what you said, when you're a horse trainer and you have a child, the clients have to kind of come first most of the time. And so, she's just stuck it out. And so, I don't know her very well either, but I'm proud of her and what she's done, because it's remarkable. And to have the world records, to have the highest point earning horse in the industry ever, that's amazing. Well,
thank you. And the biggest compliment you can get as a parent, regardless of whether you're in this industry or any type of industry, is someone to come up and tell you, that their kids are watching your daughter's show, or they've had an encounter with them, and what a great person that they are, and beyond the horses. And she went through all the teenage emotions and issues like all other teenagers go through. Sure. Teenage girls, I'm going to push that a little further, but but all in all, she's I'm going to brag on her. She's a wonderful young woman, and she's into the amateur stuff now. Got a little young horses, so it's a whole new learning curve for her. And this was her first world show, and taking all the young stock. She's had her expectations probably a little higher than what were obtainable, but that's always been her, and I'm sure she'll reach them.
Will we expect anything less? Absolutely not. Not from her, for sure. Let's segue into Taco, Timmy.
Let me do one more before you go. So this one part that we talked about before was her not going to college for one of the teams, right? She didn't want, but she's still going to college for a different degree, which I was really proud of her. Can you talk about her choices of that and how that worked a little bit? Because I think for a horse trainer's daughter, I really respect how she wanted to do it.
Yeah, when that all started, she had competed with most of those girls, all of those girls probably, through her whole youth career. And, she just wanted to try, she didn't want to be under that microscope anymore. She didn't want to have to worry about the competition and, other people, maybe she wasn't going to be on the team, or people that were on the team that thought they should be on the team, and all that stuff that goes with sports in general. So she didn't really want to do that part of it. And just to do the horsemanship or the reining, whatever was going to happen. She wanted to, do the ranch riding and things like that. So she was heavily involved in the IEA part of it, through high school there, and won some championships there, and got to do the reining and that same type of competition. So I think doing the IEA, she kind of got a taste of what that was like, and she enjoyed it, and there really wasn't no need to make that part of her education. So we had looked into Findlay College, and Randy Wilson had went up there at the time, and there was some talk of maybe some adjustments to the program. I felt like there was a lot of kids beside her that could probably come in and start with young horses right off the bat, rather than get that education for 4 years in a program like that. They've got great instructors up there. But you had to go through the process of the grooming and halter breaking and all that kind of stuff. So we just didn't feel like for the money that she was going to put forth to school from everything that she had earned through the incentive fund through an SBA or the Smart Points and her high points for AQHA, that was the best way to go. So she decided to do an online degree and get her business degree online. It's an accelerated program that fits what she's doing. She can keep showing. So, which every kid's doing virtual school now pretty much. So she was kind of ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Bradford, I want to hear about that. That's why.
No, that's good. I'm glad you said that, actually, because I was interested to hear that as well. So that is awesome that she's continuing that part of it. But I want to talk about, and Kona, if you want to bring it up, I want to talk about He'll Have a Taco, because he left this earth way too early. He was an amazing horse, but I don't want to sit here and talk about him, Brent. I want to hear you talk about this horse and everybody that was involved with this horse.
Well, Taco came to me at the Congress. Let's see, this is 21, so probably he would have been 6. So a few years back anyway. Can't remember the exact date. He was a 4-year-old. So the Grossnickel family had a mare that they had raised that she was a nice horse, but wasn't going to be something that was going to fit their show string, particularly for them. So the girls at R11, I'd contacted them to see if maybe they wanted to take her and use her as a brood mare up there, since they kept the other mare that Grossnickels had, the Always Invite Holly mare.
Yep.
They'd had her forever. So the girls said, well, let's think about it. Would they be interested in another horse we have? And I said, well, I don't know. So I talked to Lori, Mrs. Grossnickel, and, we kind of weighed the odds, and they brought Taco down, long story short, and we rode him there to Congress. And while I'm out riding him underneath the overhang, I have all these trainers that had looked at Taco, and I'm like, they're like, is that Taco? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we looked at Taco. And 4 or 5 people that had tried Taco, that I'm like, why didn't these people buy Taco? Because at this point I'd loped him over some poles, and his lead change was green, but there was a lot of potential there. So I was really nervous, to be quite honest with you. So we took him out the next day and rode him again. And there were a few more individuals that approached me, and we ended up vetting the horse, and the girls at R11, when we vetted him, we did everything. I x-rayed him from head to toe and did soft tissue. And they're like, Brent, don't you trust us? I'm like, I am just really nervous about this.
Right. And why did all these people pass him up? Right.
Why did this happen? So, long story short, we ended up buying him, and we started the trail on him and took him to Florida. And he came along pretty quick. a lot of people had the horse. Amanda Ringer, Clint had showed him, I think, as a 2-year-old in a snaffle bit, and I don't think that he'd gotten any points, but just kind of was seeing where he was at. So I took him to Florida, and in the first week, we were placing in the bottom of the group, and then he just kind of come on fire that second week. We ended up winning the circuit on him, and then the fire just kept building and building and building. And then we went to the Congress, and with my position of being a tri-chairman, I was unable to show. So Jason Gilliam, he's been a huge, I can't even say how much of a help he's been with my trail progress and the goals that helped me meet the goals that we went to. So, he was a natural choice for me to ask to ride this horse. And, he showed my senior horse, the Always Lopin sober horse as well. And, Clint showed him had Clint come back and show him in the level 2 trail for us. And then Tyler Schultz showed him in the Western riding as well. So, he handled all those riders. So it was just kind of, it felt good that people could follow me and get on and have that success. Not that Jason needed to follow me by any means, but, he won 3 classes that year, and he went on to win the amateur for Kate and the 4 and 5 non-pro, and also won the other non-pro, and just tremendous. So in his career, he'd had all these wins, and, I never got to really show it. I won some circuits with him, but I never got to show him at the main event. So I did end up winning the NSBA World Show with him, and did win a trophy with him there. And then, unfortunately, right before I went to the Congress in 2019, he foundered on us here at the house and just didn't make it.
Oh, so sorry to hear that, man.
But he was a special horse.
He was.
Sure.
He was. He had that. I had the fortune of being able to judge him a couple of times, and he just had that inane sense of where to put his feet in the trail, and he just looked comfortable and happy doing it.
He did, and he had just enough spook to him that he had all that expression. It was because after Jason was so successful with him at the Congress, we talked for a long time, and I could have shown him at the World Show, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to ride this wave and let Jason show him. And the one morning I went down, I think after we made the finals, I went down and they had the cattle chute sitting there, and I'm leading him down. And he spooks, literally runs over me, knocks me down, and then runs backwards and jerks me back up on my feet, drags me down the chute. So I'm I worked. I think Tim. I said I'm gonna have to move my slot. Can I move a slot with the train with somebody? So take him back and lunge him and bring him down, and he still had a little bit of that spook in there. But Jason got the job done with him. He wasn't the winner that year, but he definitely performed well for what I gave Jason to work with. So, but it was fun, and like I said, kudos to Jason.
Well, it takes a lot, and for you to be able to give that up for the World Show, like you said, you're riding that wave. Jason had won 3 Congress championships on the horse, and then you instead of taking over at that point, you're like, what's best for the horse at this point, to be able to get another title on this horse. And so that takes a lot of a man to be able to say, nope, I'm going to allow Jason to continue to do that. So kudos.
Thank you. That's kind of, I don't mean to sound like I'm bragging, but that's kind of always been my mindset. As far as getting horses ready, to me, success as a trainer, for me, it's different for different people. But when the horses are finished and winning for the clients, and they're able to win those titles, and you see them get to reap the rewards of their investments and stuff. Sure, I want to win the World Show. I want to win the Congress, and I want those trophies just the same as everybody else. And it's rewarding, but it's tenfold when you see that happen. And last year, I hope I don't stray from the subject, but Rhonda Lavelle brought me a horse, and I always get his name wrong because I just call him Jake, but I think it's Don't Doubt I'm Cool. But she brought him to me. Becky Schooler had him, and they had shown him in the trail and had a lot of success with him. And then I was fortunate enough to get him to come into our program. But when she come in, it was she's like, well, I'm going to show in the novice amateur trail and some of those classes and in some amateur events. And then my daughter's going to do small fry. And I'm thinking, okay, here's my junior horse, the novice amateur. So, it ended up working out that the Kendall, which is her daughter, ended up winning the NSBA small fry trail. And, she's kind of like a little Alexa. It's kind of scary. And I'm glad somebody else is her parent, but but she's very competitive, and it's all about scores. When she gets, what'd you score today? Well, I scored this. So it's great to see that ambition, and she'll definitely be a superstar in the future, I'm sure.
Well, Bradford, can't bring one because I really need to get to this question before we get to the end of this.
We got to get to the best question of the night here in a second.
Just because you have so much experience, and we've got to go with your journey, we call it. And the term is always, you've touched many people throughout your career and stuff like that. But I think I've asked you this this morning too, is about the advice you give to younger trainers, maybe not just Ohio area, but in general. I mean, you're a trailblazer there, and what advice do you give these guys and girls that our next generation coming up? I mean, can you help me with that?
Well, the main thing, I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but they can't be afraid to get their hands dirty. I think you find most of us that are seasoned veterans now in the training, we're not afraid to clean stalls and jump in there and do the work that gets to get done. And I think there's a lot of youngsters that feel entitled, if you will, that they just need to come in and ride horses, and that's all they need to do. They don't need to help load the trailer and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying everybody, so all you youngsters don't get mad at me, because there's a few of you that.
Hey, don't worry about ticking them off. And this is why we asked this question, and you're answering it, in my opinion, perfectly. Because you're right.
There's some exceptional individuals out there.
Yes,
I was blessed with one that was with us for 7 years and is now successfully running his own business. But I would say, I didn't have the opportunity to work for other trainers and learn in that capacity. So my process was probably longer, I would probably say, than most. So for those youngsters, before you hang your shingle, ride with us. You decide what venue you want to go with this, whether it be all around horses or pleasure horses or hunt seahorses or hunters or reining, whatever. And, explore those venues with different trainers. I think your money would be more well spent and spending a year with individuals, trying to find your niche for one, and then developing your skills as you go would be another. And I think there would just be so much more that you could learn at a faster rate than the procedure that I went through. Part of that, to add to that, just be open-minded. Once you get to that point that you're training, have an open mind, look around, watch what others are doing. Don't be afraid to ask your peers, for help. There's so many people out there that are willing to give information. It's a close family, if you will, in this industry, I think. So I think we're all, want to help educate each other and do what we can. I said earlier that you can only be as good as your competition. So depending on where you're working at or what level you are, I think at some point you have to kind of push yourself to venture outside your box and compete at a different level just to try to develop those skills. You're around a different group of people, and that helps those skills come along, and you can learn more things and new tools to put in your toolbox, as Tim says. And a long, long time ago, Clark Bradley's, my wife was still shown as an amateur, and we were going into the Coliseum for a horsemanship class at just a weekend horse show. And we were having the conversation, and my wife it was getting started. And he told us, and he said, if you think you can't learn anything more, he said, you might as well quit. And that has really stuck with me all along. So basically, if you think you know it all, you're probably done anyway, because we learn something every day from somebody. All these horses are so different. the style horse and their abilities has increased immensely. So, just don't be afraid to seek help. Look around and learn as much as you can. And, I think you'll be successful.
Okay. So here it goes, right? I mean, that's just a lot right there. I love it.
Sorry.
No, a lot in a good way.
Let me frost the cake here, okay? I'm going to frost it. So one of my favorite terms of this whole year is the dream merchant. That's Michael's term, right? Yeah. This man is the dream merchant, right?
Yeah.
He's the one more worried about making everyone else's dreams besides his own.
Yeah.
He's helped all these amateurs, all these kids, all these players, and he provides the training, the coaching to let people have their dreams. I mean, it's not his dream so much, it's allowing other people to catch your dreams. And I respect you so much. And a little sidebar, he's so approachable. Sometimes he's busy, but he's a very approachable young man here, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, just hearing him tonight, you want to say what a great show you put on. There's so much stuff here that you said tonight that helps other people for later. So I'm just saying, the dream merchant, Michael, I know you're on tonight. Definitely a term that fits Brent here. Brad Jewett, you're going to bring us home.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Brent, I've already said it, but I'll say it again. Thank you so much for taking your Thursday night and doing this and doing our pre-interview and going through the process of being able to get on here and really help our industry, which doesn't surprise me at all. Being who you are, knowing you like I know you, I thought that you would be a great guest for one, but I thought you'd bring a lot of wisdom to the show, and you did not disappoint. So thanks for bringing your knowledge, your advice to all different types of competitors and horse trainers, young and old, the example that you've put forth to all of us. One thing we didn't touch a lot on that I want to say, because I have had the privilege of judging with you. Amazing judge, man. I love how you think. You truly do just let everything in front of you. You judge what's in front of you. And I always respect that. I really respect the fact that you're willing to wear a beard all the time. But it was
number one exhibitor question.
But it was unpopular. But we've held strong, and I see more and more beards showing up out there. So I always know I can count on Brent.
That's right. So Brad and Tim, thank you so much for having me. It's been a great pleasure spending time with you and letting you know a little bit more about me. I think Brad probably has a little bigger background of me than where Tim did, other than in the trail playing field. But I've got to work with you both and had the opportunity. It's always a pleasure. Looking forward to new things, new tools for my toolbox, and I'm sure they'll come from both of you.
All good.
Absolutely. So well, enjoy your nice cold weather up there, brother.
All right.
I was glad to see Alexa. She made a really nice comment towards you. We popped it up there just a little bit ago, but thanks for watching, Alexa. And we'll see you guys down the road. I don't know how soon it'll be, but I know we'll see you at some point.
All right, guys.
We'll be looking forward to some Congress updates, hopefully very soon.
We'll keep you posted.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Keeping It Real show. It's been awesome. Brent has been absolutely awesome. Did not disappoint. We'll look forward to Monday. I believe we have some more Nutrena stuff that's coming on Monday. And then I know Mr. Anthony Montez is out there somewheres, and Brent Tincher. So we've got a bunch of great shows coming up for you for sure. So make sure you stay tuned. Y'all done, Tim?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, perfect.
Enjoy your day off tomorrow.
Well, I got to set the course after.
I know.
Let me get a sleep in. How's that? I'll take that.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We had a great show tonight. Great people watching. I got to see everybody that came on. I didn't get to say hi to everybody, but thanks for watching. Y'all have a great, safe weekend. See you on Monday. Oh, and I wanted to thank our new sponsor, Western Hauler. I think their logo is around here somewhere. I think Conan had put it up anyway. Thank you, Larry, for coming on board. with the Keeping It Real show. Have a great weekend.
Just about ready to get underway. Our next exhibitor is at the gate. They're trying to prove that they belong here.
They really have their eyes set on that podium, but this pair just hasn't been consistent.
Championship titles are elusive.
This is a difficult field.
It all comes down to this. Here we go.
When years of work come to seconds of action, give yourself every edge.
Log off.
Get rebound technology for faster muscle recovery with ProForce from Nutrena.
No, I was going to thank you again. Great show. Thanks for
Thanks,
guys. Have a good evening. Stay safe.
Okay. Yeah, we shall. And I look forward to having you on again. We get Dr. Myers or whatever. Let's see if we can work on that we know we're not going to be but trouble.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
See you later. Bye.
Oh no, Tim, I gotta run and so
Yep. Tim's off.
If you're looking for a smarter way to ship, look to Unishippers. We've been helping small to medium-sized businesses cut their shipping costs for more than 30 years. You'll get significant savings with UPS and more than 65 LTL freight carriers by leveraging the group buying power of our 90,000 plus customers. Unishippers is a one-stop shop for reliable shipping, significant savings, exceptional personal service, and easy online logistics management. Let Unishippers deliver for you. Call Mark and his team today.
Here at Rod Patrick, we take the fit process very, very seriously because we know the importance in your performance on how you're fit. So come in, let's give you the opportunity, tell me what you're experiencing, tell me what your challenges are, and I know together we're gonna find the right answer and you're gonna be happier than you've ever been with your boots. Come see me, and thank you.